The No Nonsense Roundtable. It's a weekly show broadcast on Rochester, New York's 50,000-watt iHeart radio station, News Radio Wham 1180. The host, Dom Geneva, interviews guests from all walks of life, all with amazing stories to tell. What you are about to hear is a recording of a previous broadcast with limited commercials. Now, here's host, Dom Geneva.
Well, welcome everybody to another edition of your No Nonsense Roundtable. I have the honor of having the mayor of the city of Rochester in my studio once again, Mayor Malik Evans. This is fourth or fifth time.
This is a tradition, though. If you remember, we always try to do this either towards the end of the year, but also to kick off the new year. So here we are. Happy New Year to you, 2025. I know I'm going to have a good year if I'm sitting at the No Nonsense Roundtable.
Don't get your hopes up. Don't get your hopes up. So, how many years have you been married? We've been on this is our seventh year, but
I'm going into year 4 this year. So it's been 3 years and 30 days.
All right. So let's start off with a question. What has surprised you?
Well, not much has surprised me because you always have to be prepared for the unexpected. I've just been always programmed that way to be surprised by the unsuspecting things that may come up. But I think that what has kind of reminded me of the difficulty of the job is just the variety of things that you are responsible for and what you have to do.
Oh, yeah.
So, one day you're talking about grants and road work, and then you're talking about youth development and arts and culture. And another day you're talking about, the public market. So I think the variety that takes place within that cities are responsible for, you're always reminded about all the important things that you have to do. And then you're also reminded that you're talking about the bond rating, right? You're talking about S&P and the S&P bond rating and why that's important for residents. I think that what surprises me is that people also still think that the mayor does everything. People don't realize that there are so many levels of government. So we get calls into the office for me to solve problems that aren't even within the city's purview. Yeah. But it reminds you that you are a repository and a connector, and that you still have to work to try to help people, even though it's not within your wheelhouse. And a lot of things are not.
Well, yeah, and there are a couple of things I learned from you from our past interviews, and there are a couple of things that really hit me. And one of them, you said that we used to be a company town, now we're a town of companies.
That's right. That's right.
And I never looked at a thing at Rochester like that, and it actually got me thinking. I mean, your thought there got me thinking in a little bit of a different way. And when people come to live here, okay, they're surprised by what a great place it is.
Right.
Right. I mean, the culture that we have. You got a AAA ball team. You got the Kodak. You got the Kodak Center. You got the Eastman Museum. Eastman
Strong Museum.
You have the Eastman School of Music. You
Rochester Museum and Science Center.
All these things. Yeah. All these things.
Yeah.
Property values. Are now. Granted, you got some problems. I mean, everybody has.
Every urban area has challenges, and anyone that says that Rochester unique in the urban challenges that you face, or challenges in regional challenges, you're not paying attention to what's going on in the rest of the world. So we are not unique or immune from them, but we don't hide from them. We address them. We address them head on to make sure that we try to fix them. But we also make sure that does not cloud the goodness of our community. And sometimes it takes people from the outside to remind us of the assets that we have here.
Oh, you just gave me a softball. Thank you ever so much. Well, here's the thing, and I've told the story a number of different times. So I'm traveling down to see my daughter in South Bend. I'm going by, Buffalo. Buffalo's got an identity. Yep. Cleveland's got an identity, and I'm thinking that we have this rich culture that goes beyond what a lot of other communities have. And somebody said something. Well, actually, it was Bob Duffy when I interviewed him a couple of weeks ago. He goes, "Well, I was talking to the president of Kodak back when." And he says, this is the hardest place to get people to come to, and the hardest place to get people to leave, because once they're here.
That's right.
And I always thought, Mark Cohen, of
yes,
course.
Yes,
Mark Cohen's an outsider. Ben Jacobs is an outsider. I'm an outsider.
That's
okay.
Right. My parents were outsiders.
Okay.
My parents were outsiders, and they said my dad came here for graduate school and said I will only stay for 2 years. He is now buried in Riverside Cemetery.
Wow. Okay. So here's the deal. As a marketing guy, I'm gonna lay this one on you.
That's right.
So when somebody buys a product and they realize it's better than they thought, the reasons to buy are not why they're here. Okay? Their consideration, that wasn't part of their consideration. So my thing is that we need to do something to raise our consideration among people who are looking for places to live, because on their selector list, it isn't, oh, Rochester's great with this and this and this and this and this. We need to get some way of getting people on Long Island to think that we are not this, upstate Rust Belt city. We have these really great attributes, and I don't care if you're talking about culturally or the price of housing, the schools, generally speaking. Yeah, we have some schools that are that need some help, but generally speaking, we have so many different attributes to this this community that we should find some way of promoting it. And that's why I'm going around to people right now saying that what can we do? There are different. It's a strategy, and there's different tactics that we can use to get something done.
And it's also approaching Rochester. Are you going to do it from a deficit model or an addition model? And oftentimes with cities, what people do is they look at their deficits and not their assets.
Right.
And the other asset that we have is we're one of the few places that have a river, a lake, a waterfall, and a canal. In a couple of years, we're going to have High Falls State Park right downtown in the middle of the city, across from a ball field, right down the street from the Eastman School of Music. So we have these great assets and resources, and we need to make sure that to the people here that are currently here in Rochester, that they know these assets are here so they can take advantage of them. But also, as we continue to try to grow our region, we highlight those assets, and those assets extend beyond just the city of Rochester. That's why I tell people, when you're on a plane, you don't say, hey, I'm from Anyway Falls. You say, hey, I'm from Rochester. And when you say Rochester, that means the Finger Lake region. That means Rochester Institute of Technology, that is at RIT. They got a new president that's coming that I just met, who's going to do a great job, by the way. And so it's important to make sure that we talk about the assets of this region and really brand ourselves. I mean, think about all the festivals that we have.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But you don't discover these things till you get here.
You got to get here, and you got to
need to get in front.
Right.
So I have this website. It's rochesterhonors.org. And what I'm just trying to explore different ways that we might be able to get together and do this. A rising tide lifts all boats, like Jack Kennedy said. Right. So is there a way of coordinating something into one presentation a year that would advance these things? Is there something we could do with real estate agents? Is there something that we could do with colleges to get people to not only come to college here, but to stay?
Right.
And here's the thing. I don't know. I don't know exactly what all the tactics should be, but I know the strategy is we really should get ahead of this thing where we're garbage plates and lake effect snow.
Right. And when we talk about the snow, we should talk about how we celebrate.
Yes.
How we celebrate.
I know where you're going with that,
because we have places like Rock Holiday Village. By the way, I just announced yesterday, for 3 years, the Special Olympics, Winter Special Olympics, are going to be here for the next 3 years, coming here in the wintertime. That's huge for our region. Thousands of athletes from all over New York State coming to Rochester in the winter. Rock Holiday Village had record turnout in the winter, in the cold of winter, at Martin Luther King Park downtown, with igloos and ice skating and all those things. So we have the opportunity to celebrate the assets that we have here. Okay,
and let's talk about all the things. We have about a minute left in this break. Let's talk about all the things we don't have. Wildfires. Mudslides. We don't have a lack of water. We have plenty of water. We don't have tornadoes, hurricanes, and earthquakes. And
if we have them, they're on a smaller
floods.
scale. Right.
So it's all this good stuff, and I gravitate toward the one thing that I think is the most important thing of all, is that we have this incredible tech hub. That is, it's going no place but in a good place over time.
Our technological advancements are unbelievable with the universities like U of R and RIT. We have the tech hub. We're a designated tech hub. And then we have the downtown Rochester Innovation Zone, in which you have these places that are running out of space. The Sibley buildings and NextCore are almost out of space because they have so many businesses that will grow to be the town of companies that I talk about.
We'll be right back after this. This is Dom Genova from my friend Jack Greco at Jack Greco Furniture. I'd invite you to go see Jack Greco if you're looking to buy furniture right now. But beyond that, I'd invite you to go see Jack Greco if you're ever going to buy new furniture. And why? You can look and dream and plan how exactly you'd like your furniture, the type of wood, construction. It's half the fun. It's going to be reflective of your taste, and quite frankly, you'll want to pass it down as an heirloom. Can't say that about the big box stores. Go see Jack. This is Dom for my friend John Myers and his new company, Life Interviews. I'm going to ask you to go look at the website he has, Life Interviews. There's no T in it, Interviews, where you'll see a fantastic presentation on what they do. And what they do is create a video legacy for you to pass down to future generations. More than just getting your DNA, you can pass down your story. Go see, you'll be amazed. It's a great idea, but do me a favor. Wait till the end of the No Nonsense Roundtable. Mayor, I don't know if you've ever heard this, but put your headphones on if you would, and catch this.
I don't know what they have to say. It makes no difference anyway. Whatever it is, I'm against it. No matter what it is or who commenced it, I'm against it.
I like this.
Your proposition may be good, but let's have one thing understood. Whatever it is, I'm against it. And even when you've changed it or condensed it, I'm against it.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
Groucho Marx.
Is that Groucho Marx?
That's Groucho Marx.
That's Groucho Marx. I'm going to write that down, and I'm going to start using that as a quote because that is correct.
You could introduce yourself at any board meeting with that. I mean,
and say citizens against virtually everything, right?
Absolutely. Well, and that's what you have to deal with. You come across all the time, right? I mean, I don't know what you're doing, or I don't know what your proposition is, but I'm kind of getting that with this thing I'm doing. You're trying to do away. No, I'm not.
Right.
No, I'm not. But changing the subject a little bit. Let's talk about the things that are going on that are adding to our culture of life and helping people lift themselves up and whatever. Citizens priority, I guess, is the way.
Well, one of the things I call it is connecting citizens to City Hall to help advance their neighborhoods and put their neighborhoods on the map and talk about the positive things that they're doing. So we're launching this month. We launched it just earlier last week. Our NIA program, NIA, which stands for Neighbors in Action. And that is an opportunity for business associations and small neighborhood groups, block clubs, to apply for anywhere from a couple of $100 up to $10,000 to tell us what activities, programs that they want to put in their neighborhood to advance Rochester, to advance their neighborhood. So that gives our neighbors an opportunity to be in the driver's seat to move Rochester forward. It's kind of modeled after Bill Johnson's Neighbors Building Neighborhood program from the 90s, which was a national motto, but we've refreshed it for the 21st century. And this is going to be an opportunity for people to sit down together and then come up with ideas. It's twofold. It's number one, to help them generate ideas with their neighbors, and also post-COVID to get people off of social media and being in their homes, but to meet together to come up with ideas that they want to have to advance the city. And we got support from ESL Federal Credit Union, Rochester Area Community Foundation, and the city of Rochester. The three of us came together to put together this pool of money, and there's going to be a committee that are going to look at what grants will be distributed, and any of the great ideas that come out, we will then be able to highlight and say, hey, this is what what neighborhood X or neighborhood Y is doing.
So it's more of a ground up sort of thing.
Ground up sort of thing. And who knows what may come from this? It may be something great. It may be something that might expand and continue to happen. So we think that is another way to get people involved. When people are involved, they care more about the community. When they care more about the community, you have less crime and you have greater economic development.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. Can you give me any specifics that people are talking about?
Well, I'll give you an example. So let's say I'll just name a neighborhood organization. So let's say the Southeast Area Coalition wants to do a project. They can put in to do a project, or the Peck Street Block Club. They may want to do an idea. They can come up with something. That idea could be a beautification. Maybe they want to do a neighborhood concert every year. Maybe they want to do something for young people that are there. Maybe they want to get together and do a neighborhood watch, or do a regular cookout for all of their neighbors and provide services, service providers to come and talk about what it is that they do. So those are the types of things that we are looking for with this NIA program, and we like acronyms. So NIA, but NIA also is the Swahili word for purpose. Yeah. So it means purpose in Swahili. So we hope that people will find their purpose through service.
Well, this kind of dovetails with what another guest I had was saying a couple of months ago. The guy's name is Frederick DeBoer. I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
No.
He wrote a book. He's world known. He wrote a book about social programs, and he was saying that one of the tendencies, which is not a good tendency, is that people that have nothing to do with the benefits are the people that are planning what the benefits should be. So he says, hey, listen, he says, I have a PhD. He says, I have 2 PhDs, a graduate from Harvard, other stuff. He goes, I'm really not the guy. He says, I want to be able to help, but I'm not the person that's being helped. And the person that's being helped has no idea what we're doing.
Right. That's right. So it's making sure that the people that are going to be eating the soup at least get to decide what some of the ingredients that are in there, right? And that's what this is about. And it gives them the power to be able to work hand in hand with the community, in City Hall in this case.
And you have a mobile library, right?
So when I was a kid, we had the what we would call the bookmobile. Okay. The bookmobile went away about 20 years ago. We have brought the bookmobile back, and that takes books to neighborhoods. So it's this great big bookmobile. It's a huge van like structure, and it goes into the neighborhoods, and you can literally check out books there. If you're close enough, you can get free Wi-Fi from being there, and you can actually get books in your neighborhood. So this bookmobile would travel through all 4 quadrants of the city, pulling up at festivals, pulling up at birthday parties and other events, and people can go and check out books, which we think is extremely important, and it gives people the opportunity to be able to do that. And maybe it will carry some of the other ancillary things that you can check out from the library. You can check out sewing machines from the libraries. You can check out MiFi devices from the library, seeds from the library. These are all things that you can get from the library.
The Bulgen Vargas.
Bohan Vargas, good friend.
Vargas, yes. He was saying that. He's from where's
Dominican Republic.
Dominican Republic. He didn't even know how to speak English.
That's right.
And he said the library saved him.
He is a big library guy. He came here when he was 16, 17 years old, and the library is the great equalizer for folks. We even have in our library, we have a recording studio, and we even have a young man that is now the world champion in e-gaming for Mario Kart. He practices his Mario Karting at the library. So libraries have become the place to go in the 21st century. Tomorrow, I am going to be presenting the Earned Income Tax Credit Day, and we have the Earned Income Tax Credit. You can go to our library to get your taxes done. So we have a tax place at our library, working with the CASH program, creating assets, savings, and hope at the Rochester Public Library. So it shows you how we have evolved to make libraries relevant for the 21st century. So that's why this bookmobile is such a big deal, because people will be able to get on that and then hear about all the services that the library has. You also can go to the library and record a musical track. We have a music studio at the library, downtown Central Public Library. You can come out with a demo tape. You can lay beats in the back, and many young people do. They record their music at the library.
Well, you'd be surprised at how many artists, at least years and years ago, would go do that. They would go record something at a little studio someplace, and they became very popular.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
That's cool. That's cool.
That's right.
Well, one of the things is getting people to understand you have these things.
That's right. That's the challenge.
It's like I was saying about the community all told. I mean, people need to know this stuff.
That's right. And that's why getting information out, coming on shows like this is so very important, because you want to make sure that knowledge is power. But you don't have the power if you can't get the knowledge.
Oh, you just gave me another softball. On shows like this, okay? We have 7,400 radio listeners. We have 5,800 Facebook followers. I have 6,400 YouTube subscribers. And my email list, not that everybody opens emails, is 24,109.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
Wow.
yeah, okay. Yeah, after 7 years, it builds up. And,
It builds up,
yeah,
but still.
so it's
But-
okay.
but-
For somebody who doesn't know what they're doing, it's okay.
But you know, I put on my banker hat, my math hat. There's
Yeah.
something called permutations for all those people.
Yeah.
They will tell other people, and those people will tell other people, and it will continue to grow.
We're going to pause now for a message or two.
This is Don from Martinizing Dry Cleaning in Fairport. Todd, the owner, was a corporate guy just like me. Left his corporate job to start his business, Martinizing Dry Cleaning in Fairport. And boy, what a great business it is. He picks your clothes up and drops them off, which is really great, especially now that the weather's getting the way it is. I have to tell you, they have a 4.9 rating out of 5 on Google. Go see them. 425-4242. 425-4242. I use them. You should too.
Well, there's something that is near and dear to my heart, and of course is the economic development and seeing things progress and grow and move and whatever. One of my favorite things. I'm so glad you're taking care of, because I tell you over and over again, when I came up here in 1993 and I saw the corner of Clinton and Main Street, oh my God, it's like what was it? 27 years. I mean,
Listen, it's been decades since that's been there. And what I'm proud of is that I'm the first mayor to get that done in 30 years.
Yeah.
Period. And it was a major priority. This was not an easy project. 3 different owners of that building. We had to work to get the downtown revitalization initiative to make that happen. Harper's Corner. And guess what? It's moving. This year, the ribbon will be cut on that building. There will be housing in that building and space for small businesses. So it is a major thing for our city. You can't have your 4 corners on downtown, one fourth of the corner looking like garbage, and I called it an abomination, and it will no longer be an abomination. And you know what? What's there now even looks better. And you know what's there now? Scaffolding and construction equipment, and that looks good. And we are excited about pushing that project. And I tell people all the time, I need to trumpet it more, because it was something that was a long time coming, but it's something that people had talked about for years and nothing happened.
So I mean, what caused that for all that time? I mean,
well, I think you had different owners of the building. You had different visions for what might have needed to go there. But the bottom line is, the time when people were yapping and talking and exercising rhetoric and not results, it allowed the buildings to fall into disrepair. And that is where we said, we don't want to have this. Let's get this building up and running. Let's work together collectively. And now we're seeing the fruits of that labor. Yeah,
no, that's good. Well, tell me more about downtown. What's on the horizon?
Well, I mean, a lot is on the horizon downtown. As you know, High Falls State Park is on its way coming. That's coming. We just broke ground on renovations that are going to be taking place at the convention center, which is a major thing for us, because that is a destination. People that come here need to be able to operate in the convention center. And then we continue to build housing all over downtown. Affordable housing as well as market rate housing. Downtown now has over 10,000 plus people that live there. And we have lots of housing that is Center City Courtyard is getting ready to come online. Alta Vista is getting ready to come online. And then there's other private development. The Neisner building, all those things are getting ready to come online. So there are lots of projects. We continue to also improve Parcel 5 to add enhancements there, so that way we can have more outdoor shows and make the space more inviting for people to be able to come. The MLK Playground is getting ready to be completed over at MLK Park, which is a big deal. It's been a long time coming to have that done. And in a couple of weeks, we're getting ready to also cut the ribbon on another business that's going to occupy the Sibley building, Ultrafill, which is a major company that does all the different milk and lactose milk and all those different things that you do. And they're doing that manufacturing right downtown in the Sibley building.
Really?
In the bowels of the Sibley building, you have this huge manufacturing facility that sends things to places all over the world. It is a big deal. So economic empowerment and economic development are so very important. And I like to remind people that downtown is a neighborhood, and with 10,000 plus people living there, you better make sure that you have a focus on it.
And you got throwing you a softball. You got the thing with the trees, which that's another neat. It doesn't sound like a lot, but it is a lot.
It's a huge thing. And other cities would love to do this. I set a goal on January 1st, 2022. I said we're going to plant 6,000 new trees, and people said you're crazy. By the end of this year, we will have 6,000 trees planted all throughout the city of Rochester, prioritizing areas where the tree canopy was not that great.
Well, it makes all the difference in the feel of the neighborhood. It becomes when you have trees, it becomes a neighborhood.
That's right.
At least it seems that way to me.
That's right. That's what we want.
Now, where is a lot of this money coming from? State, national,
state, federal, local. As a former baker, I like to talk about the capital stack. That means that where you're getting all the different money from, and we're getting it from every resource we can: private, public, state, federal. We had to put it all together in order to make it work.
And the Interloop and
Interloop is on its way. As you know, we are up to $200 million, which is what we needed. My first year, I asked for $100 million, and then just a couple of months ago, I asked for another $100 million, and we secured both of those. So now we're at $200 million, and we're hoping that design will continue through this year, with hopefully towards the end of next year having some type of groundbreaking there. I believe it was I can't remember the person that said. Mark Twain, I believe, that said, buy land, they're running out of it. Well, guess what? We're creating more land. Well, yeah. We're going to have 27 acres of developable land that we're going to be able to put homes on, to be able to put businesses on, and be able to have great green space. It's going to make our city look so much better, and it's going to connect our city in a way that it's never been connected in centuries. Well, almost a century.
We're getting a lot smarter than that. I mean, there's a book over here on my bookshelf. The Power Broker is about... Robert Moses.
Yep, I've read it.
Yeah, and what the Cross Bronx Expressway did to the Bronx. I mean, it broke up two neighborhoods, right? I mean, it broke up the neighborhood.
Dispersed economic development.
Right. And I guess that's why they dug a tunnel in Boston, so they wouldn't have that problem anymore. And the thing is that these interloops and highways just broke up neighborhoods.
That's right.
And
It broke up neighborhoods, and also, it broke up neighborhoods, but also dispersed people who were working there from an economic development perspective. Right. So from a financial perspective, it just made no sense.
Right. I mean, it literally broke up families. I mean, somebody's living on one side of the street, somebody's living on the other side of the street. That you just put this giant obstacle in. So we're I mean the pendulum's going the other way. I see them doing this across the country. It's really a great idea. What is of all the things, the economic development initiatives that you have, what was most favorite for you to work on as far as just being most pleasurable?
I mean, they're all pleasurable. I think Maine and Clinton was huge because that's something that was an eyesore that people talked about regularly. But I also got to give a shout out to what's now going to be called Taylor Square, which was the former Hickey Freeman that was getting ready to go out of business, and we worked together with the county executive, the Senator Schumer, Empire State Development, Governor Hochul to save that, and now it's going to be turned into Taylor Square. So it's still going to be a place to buy clothes, but it's also going to be a place for people to be able to live. So that big manufacturing facility is now going to be homes, and then on the first floor you're going to have people from Tom James Company continue to make suits made here in Rochester. That's one that you don't hear much about, but it's huge. It's huge for our city, and it's right in the middle of a neighborhood, North Clinton Avenue.
We'll be right back to talk more after this. This is Dom for my friend John Myers and his new company, Life Interviews. I'm going to ask you to go look at the website he has, Life Interviews. There's no T in it, Interviews, where you'll see a fantastic presentation on what they do. And what they do is create a video legacy for you to pass down to future generations. More than just getting your DNA, you can pass down your story. Go see, you'll be amazed. It's a great idea, but do me a favor. Wait till the end of the No Nonsense Roundtable.
Well, Mayor Malik Evans, we do have one thing in common, and look at the look in your eyes. Right?
What's that thing? You know?
Oh my God! You don't know. You don't know what's coming.
Yeah, you never know.
It's all good. I have to tell you, a lot of people don't understand the show. Some people understand my shows. Some people don't understand my show.
Right.
It's like I'm sitting down having a cup of coffee with somebody, at a diner or at an airport or whatever, and I'm not going to get into maybe I shouldn't use the word this, but I'm not going to get into a pissing contest with somebody. And it's what do you, what do you think? What do you feel? And that's why you have somebody like David K. Johnson on, you really don't care. People don't like him. I don't care that they don't like him. And I just have the guy on the show. But the thing that you and I do have in common is that we're former corporate guys.
Right.
And when you are a corporate guy, somebody's doing your personnel review, and I tell every once in a while I get a chance to give a guest lecture at RIT, and I says, ultimately, if somebody's doing the personnel review, it has to do with whether your boss likes you or not. Because we talked about that during the break. I mean, if somebody doesn't like you, you're just going nowhere. But tell me about the transition, because you had a very successful career as a banker, and now you're dealing with what you are now as mayor. I mean, the lifestyle, the change. I mean, nobody. You didn't have somebody who was a bodyguard following you around when you were working at the bank.
Well, look, I think
so. I mean, this is a big change.
Yeah, there's a change. I think that one of the biggest changes is that you're on 24/7, right? That's the biggest change. I mean, I've always been on 24/7, but I think it's 24/7 to the max. Now it's more like 34/7, right? You're never off. So if I'm at my sister's wedding, no one cares that I'm at my sister's wedding. They're still going to call me anyway and say, Mr. Mayor, we need you to, we got to let you know about this. You're going to have to do it. So that is, or if it's 2:00 in the morning and it's something that is of extreme importance to the city, I'm going to be woken up at 2:00 in the morning, and that so that is different. I don't think that people have an appreciation, and the only people that really appreciate it are other mayors. So I spend a lot of time talking to a lot of mayors. We call it therapy session because they can relate to what you're going through. So that is the biggest change. The other change that you realize is, I always tell people there's 3 categories of people. There's people that know you, people that think they know you, and people that don't know you at all. So you hear a lot from people you hear opinions from a lot of people who don't know you at all. They know you from what they see on TV or what they think you might be doing. I have to remind my kids that it's okay. The people that are saying these things about your dad or may have an opinion about something, they don't know me personally, but they know me as their representative. So they're allowed to do that, right? So it's a different environment that you're in because you're on 24/7. I got a little taste of this being on city council and being on the school board, but being mayor is a whole different ball of wax because you are the face of the city and you are responsible for the administration of the city, and that does not shut down at 5:00. It doesn't shut down at midnight. It goes 24/7. And I'm reminded of that every single day. Cause it doesn't stop.
Well, you can't hide.
No.
You go someplace and you're you're not wearing a mask.
Right.
You're you. But I would imagine that there's, we were just talking during the break about my 7% rule. We'll clean up the language. 7% of the people in the world are either nuts or mean, and you can't get away from those people. I would imagine they see you at a restaurant. They see someplace where it's supposed to be a private affair or something like that. I mean, you have to come across that every once in a while, right? I mean.
Yeah, I think that when you're a public servant, that means that when you're out in the public, you have to deal with everyone, and everyone is your constituent, even when they're not actually your constituent, right? Yeah. Because you're the mayor of the city seat, of the county seat. You're the mayor of that, so. Everyone sees you as their representative, and everyone may have an idea, or they may not be happy with something that you did, or you may not have given them a job that they wanted, so they might be upset about that. So you deal with that, but I think that comes with the territory. And one of the things I always learned, I'm a preacher's kid. I'm a man of faith.
Wow. You
smile and you say, "God bless you."
Yeah. Well, you do have a talent for communicating, which I think when you look at politicians that have been very successful, Bill Clinton, Ronald Reagan, I don't care where you are politically speaking, but if you can communicate your ideas succinctly and quickly, it's certainly a benefit. One of the things I respect about you and people like you is you give up a solid job doing something to take a leap which you have no guarantee is going to work. And especially in your business. Now, I did that. I built my business. Nobody's taking my business away from me. Okay. You do this, you go that, and you need to get elected again. You know, that's you're swinging out there without a safety net.
Well,
you can always go back. I mean,
I tell people you never go into these jobs because you think that there's going to be a safety net. You do it because you think that it's the right thing, and you always understand that the founders of our country never meant for anybody to be in these jobs forever.
Oh yeah.
So you give it your best, and you make decisions based upon what's best for the community. And then when you do that, you can sleep well at night, which I do, even though I get interrupted a lot. I tell people I sleep like a baby. I wake up crying every 2 to 3 hours. You do it for that reason. Yeah. And when you do it for that reason, the rest will take care of itself.
Yeah. And the thing is that there was a speech by Theodore Roosevelt. It's called "The Man in the Arena."
That's right.
Yeah, and
I have that in my office.
Yeah. So if you fail, at least you failed doing something valiantly, and you don't live with those timid souls that never. What he really means by that is a lot of people talk is cheap, and it's easy to talk cheap from the sidelines. But if you really want to make a difference, come on, get off the sideline, bring yourself to the front line, and get in the arena. That's the gist of the man of the arena. Well, the other thing is you have to have a spouse that.
I'm lucky in that.
I'm lucky with that too.
I'm lucky in that sense. Yeah.
Nita. I said I'm writing my book about how to buy a car, and I put the dedication, and I said Nita, and she's got an advanced degree. She says we could lose all our money. She goes, we lose all our money. You get a job selling cars. I'll get a job waiting tables. We'll be fine. I said, not since Maria von Trapp took the kids over the Alps have I seen somebody with that type of dedication. Right. And you have to have the same thing with Shawanda, right? So
that's right. And that dedication is extremely important for sure.
Oh, and especially now as the kids are getting older and, they're starting to realize more. I mean, when they were young, they didn't really realize what you were and did whatever.
My kids are sharp. They always realize it. And I'm not just bragging. They always have. Yeah. They've gone door to door, and they've always had very strong opinions about all these things, and they actually keep you grounded because they also can tell. They also have a strong BS detector, and that's needed because in this business you get a lot of BS.
I'll tell you one of the philosophies of life that I have is that when you look in your children's eyes, they're supposed to be here. You can't imagine that they weren't here. So if you did anything differently in your life, that child would not be here. I don't care if you adopted a child or as a natural child, that child would not be here. So everything worked out the way it's supposed to work out, which is exactly what's happened with this broadcast because this has worked out exactly the way it's supposed to work out. We're about ready to leave.
Well, that's if you believe in providence. There you go. Right. And I'm a big believer in providence.
Oh yeah. I tell you, all the things that have happened crappy in my life led to me up to here, and this has been pretty good. And it's been pretty good talking to you. Thank you for coming into my home, actually, and spending some time with us. And
great to be here. Invite me back anytime.
Yeah. Well, God bless you for what you do.
Thank you.
You're listening to the No Nonsense Roundtable every Saturday, 10 to 11 on News Radio WHAM 1180.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll make more.